Hello, and welcome to Heart of the Matter, a broadcast where survivors share their story, inspiring us to overcome health challenges and live the healthiest lives we can. I'm Susan Smith, your host. I want to remind everyone that heart disease is the number one killer of women, taking the lives of 1 in 4. I give you this statistic because my guest today is a heart disease survivor. I'm so honored and so pleased to have my heart sister, Joan Massey, as my guest. She has a wonderful story to share, but first, I'm going to read you her bio so you know a little bit about her. Joan lives in Stratford, Connecticut. She's married. She has a son and 8 grandchildren. She's retired from the state of Connecticut after 18 years, where she was a union rep. She's a member of First Baptist Church. She volunteers for Donate Life of Connecticut and also Women Heart. She leads a support group there for women with heart disease. One of her favorite things to do before the pandemic was to visit hospitals, sharing her story with patients and medical staff. Won't you please help me welcome Joan Massey? Hi, Joan. Welcome.
Hi.
I'm so glad you could be
Thank
here.
you for having me.
Thank you.
Glad to be here.
I'm going to ask you a few questions, but before I do that, I'd really like it if you tell us your heart story, please.
Sure, I'd love to. My journey with my heart started back in October of 2009. I woke up one morning and I couldn't catch my breath. So I was on my way to work that day, and I kept saying it was going to get better, and I didn't go. Long story short, my husband finally came back home, took me to the hospital, and they diagnosed me with congested heart failure. And I was in the hospital for about 10 days, and they ran all these tests, and they explained to me what congested heart failure was. My heart wasn't pumping the fluids the way it should be. So I went home, and over the years, I had a total of 4 stents put in different times. And I had a difficult time walking. I couldn't do stairs without being short of breath, and things just got progressively worse. But I always kind of adjusted and lived with it. Then in December of 2015, I woke up one morning. I was walking around. I'm home now, retired. And then all of a sudden, I couldn't catch my breath. So I called I called my husband first, and then I called the ambulance, and I went to the hospital. And they told me that I was having, my heart was only functioning, number one, at about 15%. And they couldn't figure out why I was short of breath. So they ended up sending me home that day with a portable defibrillator. So I went home after, I think I was in about 4 or 5 days at that time. Went home, and 10 days later, the same thing happened to me again. Now, the day before that, the day before I went into the hospital, I had really, really, really bad indigestion. And I was eating Tums all day. So I go back to the hospital. Again, they put me through all these tests, and the doctors came in and said, "Joan, you had a heart attack." And I said, "When? I don't remember having a heart attack. I was never in pain." And they asked me to explain my day yesterday. And I told them what happened about the indigestion. And they said I was actually having a heart attack, which shocked me. I had no pain. I just had the really discomfort in my chest. And like I said, I just thought I was having major indigestion. So at that point, they sent me back home. When I left there that time, my heart was functioning, I think they said, at 13%. So they sent me back home. At that point, my cardiologist said to me that there was nothing else they could do, but she was going to send me to a specialist. And she gave me 3 options. I chose the doctor in New York. And I went to her in February. Before that, they finally put the defibrillator in my chest, and they just were monitoring me really close. So I went to this doctor in New York, and Met her, had to come back for a test 2 days later. And then the following week, I had to come back for what they call a right heart catheterization, where they actually go into your heart to see how much it's functioning. And as I was laying on the table, the doctor looked down at me and said, I'm going to give you a 50% chance of making it another year. Your heart is only functioning 7%. And I'm arguing with her saying, no, it was 15 or 13. And she said, no, it's 7% now. And we're getting your husband and we're going to meet you back in the room. And the doctor and the nurses and a couple of other people came into my room at that point and explained to me that my heart, could fail at any time. I told them I had a defibrillator in, and they said no one could get to you fast enough. And she told me I'd have to stay in the hospital because I needed a new heart. And that doesn't even comprehend. I didn't understand what she was saying to me. I mean, where do you get a new heart? So I ended up staying in the hospital. I got admitted after many, many tears and conversations, and I got admitted to the hospital that day. The other issue was I'm an O plus, O positive person, and that blood type, everybody can take an O, but an O can only take an O. So she told me I'd probably be in the hospital anywhere from 9 months to a year waiting for a heart. So again, after many tears and tests and a whole lot of stuff going on, they admitted me that day. And that was on a Tuesday. And on Thursday, they meet with the board to see who's on the list to be put on the list. And then in the meantime, you have to go through all these tests and the doctors and the psychiatrists and everything. So Thursday morning, I was on the list. They came back about 10:30 and told me I was on the list and I was going to be receiving a heart. I just had to wait now. So that was on February 18th because I was admitted on February 16th. So I settled in, got ready for the long haul, and then a miracle came. In April of 2016, I got my heart. April 26th, I got my heart. I was in the hospital 2.5 months. And I got my heart, and I left the hospital on May 13th. And then I had some ups and downs over the year. And I was in and out of the hospital. I had a couple of things going on, but that first year was rough on me, but I survived it, and I'm here, and I'm thankful.
Oh my goodness. I have goosebumps all over. I knew this about you, but I hadn't heard all the details. Can I ask you how old you were when this happened?
I was 65. I was 64 when I got my heart.
Wow.
And I was 65. 2016, I was 65, and then I got my heart that year.
So would you say that the time you waited might be shorter or longer than the traditional waiting patient?
It was shorter. Like I said, she told me because of my blood type, I'd be there 9 months to a year. Yeah. It was shorter. And let me tell you, there were 4 ladies waiting with me on the floor. We call ourselves Heart Sisters. And we all got our hearts within 3 weeks of each other. And that's just another miracle right there.
Wow, that is a miracle. Your story is making me happy and cry tears of joy. Well, let me ask you a few questions if I can get my wits back around me. So I can only imagine. I always ask, did you feel any emotions after your heart transplant, or actually after your first diagnosis? What were your emotions?
Say that again. After my heart transplant or after the diagnosis?
I think after the diagnosis. How did you feel emotionally?
That's hard because you have to realize my head was saying someone has to die for me to live, because that's the only way I was going to get a heart. So that was very emotional for me. That was very, very hard. It takes a while for you to understand. And then, talking to others and my pastor, I'm not in control of that. And I was there in the hospital to receive this blessing and a miracle, but that was hard that someone had to die for me to live.
Yes, I can only imagine. your faith probably would help to get you through that.
Very much so.
Right. So, did you have to make lifestyle changes after the transplant?
Well, of course, I want to eat healthy and live better. I will admit I was a smoker before this. I'm no longer a smoker, of course. But other than eating healthy and trying to stay on the right track, I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to do. After anybody with a heart condition, I'm sure will change their eating habits and try to eat healthier and stuff. And that's what I did.
Right. Can you share with us what you learned about yourself afterwards? What did you learn about you?
I felt I was a strong person, but being in a hospital for 3 months, I mean, living there, that was kind of hard. But I survived. I had my husband and family and friends and people came, but when you're there in the hospital by yourself at night, it's hard. I'm getting emotional. I don't remember those feelings from a long time ago, but that was hard, the waiting and the what ifs. And, even while I was there, I had a couple of, I guess I'd call them close calls, and I saw why I needed to be in the hospital. But I got strength from my religion, from my, I read my Bible every day. I try to do all that while I was there. So I just felt I was strong and I encouraged, and I knew God had me there for a reason. My pastor explained that to me, that I was there to receive my blessing and receive my miracle. So just wait. And that's what I did.
All right. Wonderful. Oh my goodness. So this is off the track of the regular questions. Do you know the family of the donor?
No, I have sent my letter. Well, I sent a thank you card thanking them for this blessing and this gift. They have received it, but they weren't ready to meet me yet. So at least they know that I'm grateful. So I'm waiting for them. I have to wait now for them to respond back to me.
Right. I totally understand. So you
Hmm.
mentioned something earlier about 7%, 13%. Can you tell our audience what that number means? Was that your ejection fraction?
Exactly. Exactly what it was. Right now, my injection fraction is 73. The average injection fraction is 50 to 60 to 65, I think she said. So when I was admitted to the hospital, my heart was only functioning 7%. I didn't realize how sick I was. I really, like I said, it gradually went down. And as it went down, I adjusted. I have a wonderful husband. What I couldn't do, he did. If I go to the grocery store, I pick up a few things, come back, sit down, relax. So I didn't know how sick I was until I got in the hospital. Once they put the medicine in you, and all of a sudden I'm walking, I'm feeling good, but it was only 7%.
Right. And you had a heart attack and didn't know it.
That's what I tell ladies in my support group. My heart attack was indigestion. I had no pain other than the discomfort in my chest, which I have acid reflux. I have all this other stuff. So I was making excuses. I never knew that could be a heart attack. When we went to the women heart training, they said all the different things. And I explained to them that I had that happen to me. So that's the first thing I tell people now, even during my support group meetings. If you feel anything different from the ordinary, your bodies, don't ignore it, because all I had was indigestion. No pain, no arm pain, nothing.
I know that story so well. It's one of the 7 or 8 or 9 symptoms in women of heart attack, because it's not
Exactly.
like that typical man heart attack where they have arm pain and crushing chest pain. We
Right.
women get indigestion, short of breath, all the other things.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm getting off track. Can you
No.
so one last question. What
Hmm.
advice what advice would you give women about heart disease?
Like I just said, my thing is, don't ignore the signs. If you get a backache and you're not pulling, you didn't pull any, you didn't can't figure out a reason why, don't ignore the signs. I'd rather be safe than sorry. Have it checked out, and if a doctor doesn't see anything, and if you still feel bad, still follow up. Go to another doctor and get help. As they taught us, we need to advocate for ourselves, and we are the best advocates that we can be.
That is so true. That's really good advice. And you're so right. Well, I want to thank you for coming on today and sharing your extraordinary story. I'm so inspired. Everyone that sees it will be inspired. And I thank you for coming on. So
Thank you for having me.
you're welcome. I'm going to sign off to the audience now, but if you stay put, you and I'll talk afterwards, okay? All
Okay.
right. So goodbye to the audience. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.